I've got good news for you and bad news for you. Jpmorgan is tokenizing on the Ethereum blockchain, and Visa is forming a stablecoin advisory group that includes banks and much more. But Bitcoin is taking another pullback, and the market structure bill will not be marked up in 2025. I'll give you the details. Let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as a thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, Bitcoin taking another pullback, but it's along the lines of one of the scenarios we talked about over the past couple months, and that is we could see a double bottom. So, if this move that we were seeing that looked like a V-shaped recovery, setting up higher highs and higher lows, if that failed, it could be just a retest, and that's what it looks like. Remember that Bitcoin was extremely oversold, the sentiment was in fear, and the market always does the opposite of the herd. So I think this is more so of a retest and a double bottom, kind of like what we saw earlier this year in about March or so. We had a double bottom before we went into the move to new all-time highs. So again, it's a patience game. I know it's tough. I know it's painful. I know it's annoying, but this is the market and we're going to have to deal with it. But it's not only Bitcoin that's taking a bit of the pullback here. The stock market is as well. So we're seeing weakness across the board. So we just got to let this play out. Again, like I said in yesterday's podcast, I'm not anticipating anything towards the end of this year, folks, or this month at least. But rather, I think this theme starts to pick up in January and February as liquidity starts making its way through the market. We're also watching gold, right? Gold has been on the move. It has not broken the all-time high it set months back, but that's something we're going to watch because what we've seen is the rotation between these different assets, right? Because we've been in a macro bull market. So if gold is continuing its move, that's a very good sign for Bitcoin, the stock market, and much more. In addition to things like silver. Silver hit a new all-time high this week. Right now it's pulling back because it's been overbought. But these are all signs I'm looking at. We got the Fed has started quantitative easing. That started just Friday. So we got to be patient here and let things play out. Here's something that Michael Van de Pope said, and he is the founder of MN Fund. He said, for the fourth time in history of Bitcoin, the RSI against gold is hitting less than 30. The previous 3 times this occurred was in the bottom of the 2015 bear market, the bottom of the 2018 bear market, and the bottom of the 2022 bear market. He said, it's not a guarantee, but it can clearly say that one of the two is overvalued to the other. In this case, I think gold is overvalued versus Bitcoin, and that is a rotation on the horizon. So again, remember I've been telling you guys, we're in a macro bull market for all assets. We're going to see rotational liquidity. He says the gap towards the 20-week moving average is massive as well. History quite often doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes and the data never lies. So I absolutely agree with this, not because of feelings or emotions or bias, but rather the data, right? What is the data telling us? So one of the other things I've been highlighting to you guys on the podcast in my newsletter is that Bitcoin whales are accumulating again. And in addition, we are expecting to see crypto companies do IPOs, not just crypto companies, but tech companies in general do IPOs in 2026. So what are they anticipating, right? And look at this. I think this is telling. We know Donald Trump and his family are heavily involved in crypto. Well, Trump-backed American Bitcoin flips ProCap in corporate Bitcoin treasury race. So they continue to buy Bitcoin and mine Bitcoin. So why are they doing that if the price is going to tank? Again, read between the lines, right? And I'm not saying this one issue is, the bull market case. I think it's a combination of factors that we got to look at. So Bitcoin's month-long slide hasn't stopped corporate treasury companies from accumulating the digital asset, with the Eric Trump-backed American Bitcoin overtaking ProCap Financial, founded by entrepreneur Anthony Pompliano in Total Bitcoin Holdings. So they now hold more than 1,000 Bitcoin. So what the hell is going on here, guys? Why are they buying if we're headed into a bear market, as some are saying? If Bitcoin's heading down to, some people are saying 70, some people are saying 50, 40. I mean, the craziest numbers out there, right? So what's happening here? And I pose that question so that you guys can look at the market holistically, right? There are bearish signals on the charts. We're not ignoring that. But then I look at the macro and some of these fundamentals, and I'm like, wait a minute, something is different here this time around, because last time you didn't see companies doing this, right? Last time it was the Fed said we're headed into quantitative tightening, we're going to raise rates, and then it was party over, collapses started, and much more. That's not what's happening here. So this is where, as a student of history and what companies are doing and the macro and the Fed and these institutions, I'm looking at all these factors and saying something is very different this time. Now, look at this news. This is massive. So, Jpmorgan launches tokenized money market fund on Ethereum as Wall Street moves on chain. This is huge. And this follows just the news we saw on Friday that JP Morgan was tokenizing Galaxy Digital's debt issuance on the Solana blockchain. But we know JP Morgan has a massive history with Ethereum. They helped to fund Ethereum. They invested in Consensus. They were partnered with Consensus. At one point, they had forked Ethereum, had a private version of it called Quorum. I think it's now called Connexus or something like that. So JP Morgan, they know what's going on, despite what Jamie Dimon was saying all these years, right? So JP Morgan Chase is launching its first tokenized money market fund on Ethereum, dubbed My On-Chain Net Yield Fund, or called MONY, MONY, with an initial $100 million investment. So MONY, or money if you want to say it that way, allows investors to redeem shares using cash or USDC and aims to offer similar benefits to traditional money market funds with added blockchain advantages. So folks, it's interesting. We have this dichotomy, the most massive adoption of crypto, big guidance from the SEC, the OCC, and the CFTC, yet price is not reacting, right? Because there's so much. It's not like there's just one item or a couple. There are a lot, man. I actually wrote about it in my newsletter today, just massive adoption, but price is not reflecting that. And it's almost like someone's holding back the parabolic phase until these big players take their positions, right? Now, I could be absolutely wrong, right? I always tell you guys, I'm not here to claim that I know everything, but I try to follow my intuition and look at what people are doing and then what's happening in the market and the price action and all that. So it's just very, very weird. But anyway, this is massive. I mean, this is the king of the fiat world, JP Morgan, right? They're king of the hill when it comes to the banking world. So this is incredible adoption. And look, they're building on public blockchains. So they have capitulated, and everybody realizes now you have to settle, and that's where the liquidity is on public blockchains. Now look at this. Hunter Horsley, CEO of Bitwise Asset Management, replied about this news saying, within 12 months, crypto is going to be integrated with all parts of financial services. A tidal wave of substance and new players are coming. The game theory is playing out here with these massive institutions. We're seeing all the big banks, right? Citi, JP Morgan, all the Wall Street firms are launching. Charles Schwab, they're going to be launching crypto trading in the first half of 2026. And Van Eck, they just recently capitulated, and much more. So it is, once again, a very weird dichotomy that's happening between adoption and the fundamentals and all these things versus price. Now, folks, this episode is brought to you by iTrust Capital, which allows you to buy and sell and trade crypto as well as gold and silver in an IRA, which gives you huge tax benefits. So that's the value proposition here, folks. If you have a long-term view on crypto as well as precious metals, you can do it via an IRA and you get those, once again, tax benefits. And if you have an existing 401k, or an IRA, you can roll them over to this self-directed IRA that iTrust Capital offers. Not only that, folks, they have what's called a premium custody account. Now, I believe this is the second safest way to custody your asset, first being self-custody with a hardware wallet. Now, their premium custody accounts uses institutional grade custodial services. So I'm talking Coinbase Prime, Fidelity Digital Assets, Fireblocks. And this is what BlackRock and these major institutions are using, right? So you don't have to worry. You can sleep at night that your assets are safe. So this is an amazing way to invest and custody your assets, right? And I know the hardware wallet setup is not for everybody, and some people are going to want to go to trusted institutions. Well, iTrust Capital is using those trusted institutions, as mentioned, big names that institutions are currently using. So again, great options here with iTrust Capital. You can buy and sell, trade 24/7. They have low fees, no monthly fees, and things like that. So check them out, guys. I have an account with them. And if you use my link, you can get a $100 funding bonus. So visit the link in the description to learn more. Okay, we got more news around banks. So Bank of America says banks will move on-chain over the next several years. So we know this, right? All the banks are going to capitulate and adopt crypto. We've been beating the drum about this for years, that the future markets, economies, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. And in fact, today, the NASDAQ said they're ready to launch 23-hour trading. So everybody's trying to compete with crypto, right? Because crypto is the first truly global market that runs 24/7, 365 days. Here's some more bank news. Japan's SBI Holdings and Startail Group signed an MOU to jointly develop a regulated yen-denominated stablecoin compliant with Japanese financial regulations. So they're launching crypto trading, custody, tokenizing, launching stablecoins, and much more, folks. So I hope you see the direction the puck is heading in here. It's amazing, the adoption, but as mentioned earlier, this crazy dichotomy between the adoption we're seeing and price. I do believe eventually price will catch up. It's just a really strange time in the market right now. Now look at this news from one of the world's largest payments and credit card companies. Visa launches stablecoins advisory practice to keep up with crypto wave. What a headline, right? We couldn't imagine this even just 4 years ago. So another major financial institution is doubling down on stablecoins and crypto. This time it's Visa. The company announced on Monday the launch of its stablecoins advisory practice, a service which aims to add fintechs, banks, and other businesses with their strategy and implementation of stablecoins. So all the credit card companies are doing this, right? And the payment companies for that matter. So you got MasterCard and American Express and much more. And they're all in a race. Again, game three playing out here. No one wants to get left behind. So they're all adopting this technology. And it's amazing to see what they're doing. It's just incredible. I often tell people, if you know someone who's a skeptic about crypto or they're on the fence about crypto, share this news with them. It's not necessarily that they have to invest in it, but they can go work in the industry. They can become an entrepreneur and build a company in the crypto industry. So this is, the biggest of the biggest names, right? Even the Jpmorgan news I covered just earlier. These are things you got to send to the skeptics and the people who don't understand what the hell is happening. Okay, moving ahead, not so good news. So the Senate Banking Committee confirms the Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill will not advance in 2025. Markup now expected in early 2026. So this is not good. We were hearing a lot of talk about at least getting the markup done. We realized it wouldn't pass just from a timing perspective, but not even the markup's going to get done. I tweeted out about this saying, look, if they don't get this passed in 2026 and right now is the top of the market, then we've been bamboozled. We got rug pull, right? So we got to keep putting the pressure here. And look, I'm optimistic, but I'm also, I'm keeping the receipts. We got to watch this closely, right? So let's see how it plays out. But maybe from a price action standpoint, this is a good thing in a sense of don't have this bullish news of making it through the different phases of the process happen in a market downturn like we're in right now, but rather it happens as the market is reversing and going into strength. Look, I know it's semantics, but I hope you guys understand it's that this is why sometimes people time news, according to how the market's playing out. When the market's dumping, you lose attention. Look, like for example, my views are down. A lot of people are not paying attention to crypto right now because a lot of them are like, look, I don't want to look at the prices. It's been down. My portfolio is not doing anything. There's no action, right? But when we are seeing price action, of course, the views go up and the downloads go up. And that's just the nature of things. And look, it's human psychology, right? So I'm not complaining. I'm just giving you guys an example of what's happening. So again, like I said at the beginning, I think January, February, we're going to start to see this market start to pick up steam, whether that's a relief rally or the move to new all-time highs. And, I'm hoping for the latter, the move to new all-time highs. Now, SEC Chair Paul Atkins said the following today at the Crypto Roundtable. He says, public blockchains are more transparent than any legacy financial system ever built. What a statement. Wow, wow, wow. And that's why JP Morgan's building on Ethereum and Solana and all these big companies who are once anti-public blockchains try to create their own private wall garden versions are now capitulating, moving to public blockchains. So I think Paul gets it. And I know the SEC is working on guidance. I'm trying to get Chair Atkins on the pod. But obviously he's very busy, he's hard to get. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to get him on there. Look at this. PayPal submits an application to become a US bank. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is the context, the backdrop of the OCC just giving the bank charter trusts approvals to Ripple, Circle, Paxos, and these other companies, BitGo as well. And everybody wants to become a bank now, but it makes sense what PayPal is doing. And once again, PayPal has big ties to crypto. They have the PYUSD stablecoin. They offer crypto trading, not only on PayPal, but Venmo. And I'm going to try to get the head of crypto of PayPal on in early 2026. And, the most recent news I shared with you all was YouTube adopting the PYUSD stablecoin for payouts. And I told you guys I was going to check that out to see if that's actually working. But it's amazing. Amazing what's happening. Now, final news item, the CME Group highlighted the following. Spot quoted XRP and SOL futures are live and ready to trade. Trade the spot price on a regulated U.S. exchange with bite-sized contracts and low margin. So we're seeing all types of financial products being built here for these assets. And I know some of you are going to say, Tony, futures are for shorting. I know. But the point is it adds balance to the market, right? People can go long, they could go short, all that stuff. They can do spot, they can do futures. And I know the futures, but the good thing is with this asset class, it trades 24/7. It's global. So it's not one market can control, everything, kind of like the previous assets and so forth. It's everywhere, right? As far as distribution of these assets. So again, I'm hoping that this is all the setup of a massive on-ramp for a blow-off top. The timing of that, boy, that is the big question, right? And look, I'm with you guys. Am I feeling a little bit frustrated? Sure. I have my portfolio. I've shared my goals. I want to take profits. I'm looking for higher prices, of course, just like all of you. I got skin in the game, man. I'm not a billionaire or anything like that. So I'm looking to, make as much profits as possible. So folks, let me know what you think about this news, especially the JP Morgan news. It's just huge, man. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Folks, please support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's on Substack. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. So check it out to expand your knowledge. And folks, I appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all later.